All right, welcome to Transform with Travel. I'm your host, Kelly Tolliday, and we are in the middle of a very special series. We're diving into all the ins and outs of planning an intentional trip. How to plan your travels that's not just another getaway, but an experience that truly aligns with your goals, values, and season in life. And throughout the series, we've been talking about everything from setting your travel intention to choosing your destination to building out a balanced itinerary, which we're going to talk about today, setting boundaries, travel resources, all the things to be able to take your trip to the next intentional level. And not to say that intentional travel has to be, mindful and intentional every single moment, but it's about really making sure that we're getting the ROI out of our trips and making sure that we feel really good, really supported throughout our travels. Because I believe that when you travel with purpose, you don't just come home with memories, you come home feeling changed, and that ripples out into the world. So, without further ado, let's get into episode 3 of our mini series, Intentional Travel. So, in the past few episodes, we talked about why. Why should we be focusing on intentional travel in the lead up to 2026? And in the last episode, if you haven't listened to it yet, make sure to pause this episode, go back and listen to the first two. They're super short, won't take up too much of your time. Last episode, we talked about how to strategically choose your destination to align to the bigger goal, the greater goal that you want your travels to help support you on. So, today we're going to talk about building a balanced itinerary and making sure that we don't feel like we need a vacation from our vacation when we come home. How do we build an itinerary so that we're maximizing our time, seeing everything that we want to see in the destination, experiencing everything we want to experience, but at the same time, having enough time for rest, making sure we're not spending too much time in cars, transferring from one place to the next, being in traffic, just dealing with all of that. How do we actually build an itinerary that feels good, where you can feel like you got the best of everything? So I like to plan with a loose plan, I guess I could say. I like to create itineraries thinking about building out a loose structure of a plan. I try not to have too strict of an itinerary because then you run into not being able to check in with yourself every day, every hour. Okay, how am I feeling? Do I actually want to go do these 4 tours that I booked back to back to back? Or should we space it out a little bit more so that it's a loose plan? Maybe every day there's one thing that's planned, or every other day there's one thing that's a planned, set time, like a tour or an experience or a treatment or something like that. And making sure that the rest of it are things that can get moved around. Like you don't have set reservations every single night. You don't have set tours every single day. What are some experiences that you can experience in your destination that can be moved around and not necessarily having to be blocked time that you've bought a tour specifically for? So, how I like to configure this is allowing me to plan for one activity per day. I only choose one activity, whether that's we're all going to go to the beach and we're going to have a beach morning and then in the afternoon it's free. That doesn't mean that we're not going to go do something else in the afternoon. It just means I haven't planned for anything in the afternoon because we might get back from that beach day and be exhausted and just want to use the hotel pool or the Airbnb pool and just relax and not have to go jet off somewhere else in the afternoon. So I only plan for, meaning I either organize, schedule a tour, or just plan the day around this one activity, and then the rest of the day is free. And making sure that it's not set booked tours, set booked activities every single day, choosing activities that can be moved around. Like a beach day could be swapped with a waterfall day. It's not exactly you have to be at certain places at certain times because that's the level of stress we don't need on our trips. Are there things and experiences and activities that you absolutely have to have tickets for? Definitely. Do you need to have those types of activities every single day? Absolutely not. So, looking at your itinerary as a loose plan, as freedom to have flexibility and spontaneity when and where you want. And this means building in yes days. This means building in a day that's completely unplanned. I tend to put these yes days, these free days, at the end of the trip. So, the last couple days of the trip. Because what I find is I'll meet people while we're traveling, I'll talk to our guides, I'll talk to our waiters, our baristas, and they'll tell me things like, "Oh, you haven't been to this restaurant yet? Oh, there's a little waterfall that's like a locals only waterfall. Make sure to go check it out." Now, if I had a plan for every single day, every single hour, I don't have time to build in these more spontaneous trips of where these locals are giving me recommendations to go check out. So building in free days, completely free days towards the end of your trip gives you time to be able to decide, okay, all the recommendations I got from the people I've met along the way, now we have these days to be able to, go experience these things. Or you might absolutely love this one beach and you want to go back, but you filled your days to the brim every single day and you don't have time to go back to something that you really loved. Having a free day at the end of your trip allows you to potentially revisit some of those experiences and places that you really loved already. Speaking of yes days, free days, is making sure to schedule in rest, spa, yoga, walks, beach, maybe even scheduling in reading. And what I mean by this is when we talked about our loose plan, is if you have free afternoons, then you have time to be able to book in that massage treatment, book in that yoga class. If you know for sure that you're going to be at this gorgeous resort on the beach, make sure that you schedule in your morning, that you have time to go for a walk on the beach after you have your breakfast with your coffee. If you're somebody that likes to schedule your days out and you're someone who tends to overschedule yourself, make sure that you actually schedule in time for the rest that you need. It might sound counterintuitive that you're scheduling rest, but if you're somebody that tends to overschedule and overbook yourself, you need to make sure that you slot in time to be able to get that rest, get those restorative activities in that you know that you really want out of this trip. A part of building a balanced itinerary is building in balanced types of activities, building in a mix of cultural experiences, nature outings or immersions. Maybe there's fun festivals or festivities. Maybe there's private dinners that you want to have. Making sure to blend in a mix of culture, adventure, rest, and making sure that if your trip is specifically for, being immersed and hiking and surfing and all that, then of course go all in. But if you're looking for kind of a balanced itinerary in a new destination to really feel like you've got the most, experiences that you could have had in that destination, when you're looking at your itinerary, maybe even color coding, okay, this is a cultural immersion, this is a nature-based activity, this is an adventure activity, and seeing that you have a full, realm of activities within your itinerary. Making sure, again, you're not over planning or over scheduling. I think that's the biggest thing that I can give you in terms of a piece of advice is, again, if you're somebody that likes to overschedule or have something booked for every hour, seeing what it would feel like to actually giving yourself a whole afternoon off, a whole afternoon. That doesn't mean you're not going to go do something. It just means that you don't have something planned. So you can decide in the moment, maybe you actually take that nap that you've been saying that you're going to take for the last 4 years. So giving yourself plenty of completely unstructured free time to be able to decide in the moment what you want to do. I also find that this works really, really well if you're traveling with your kids, is planning for one activity either in the morning or the afternoon, and then the rest of that day is free. Because when you're overscheduling yourself, that tension, that stress also gets fed down to your kids. They can't tolerate as much walking time, on the go time, tour time, museum time. Absolutely not. So making sure that you're very aware of, okay, what's a kid-centric activity? What's an adult-centric activity? And is there time that for us to just hang out at our gorgeous villa or the gorgeous resort? Especially if you're staying at a resort that has a lot of amenities, you want to make sure that you're utilizing those amenities as well. Ultimately, this is about avoiding needing a vacation from your vacation. However you build your itinerary, it matches the overall goal that you went into this trip about. We're talking all about intentional travel in this series. We started with setting an intention, then we chose our destination. Now we're building the itinerary. So if you have a particular goal in mind, maybe it's health related, relationship related, career related, hobby related, making sure that that itinerary also matches the goal that you're trying to reach as well. So I hope all of that was helpful in terms of building out your itinerary. I can't wait to see some of your examples in the next few weeks when you guys start sending it to me. I really hope you do. Next week, we're going to be talking about how to set boundaries on your trip, setting boundaries with the people you're traveling with, setting boundaries with yourself if you're traveling solo, setting boundaries around the intention and the goals that you have. And we're going to go all into that detail next week for the remaining of our intentional travel series. That's a wrap on today's episode. If you're feeling on fire and lit up to start planning the bucket list adventure you're craving, let's work together. I'm here to manage all of the hassle of planning, hand select your options specifically for you, and give you the inside scoop that no AI itinerary can give you. Click the link in the show notes to look through our pricing and packages. You're one click away from the adventure of a lifetime. This is your reminder to keep on exploring.